Trish, I'm going to turn it over to you and Jason, and please tell us all about sourcing in our brave new economy.
Great. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, David. You're always saying such nice things about us. I think that's why we come back.
Especially because we feel like many of them are true.
Right? So thank you guys for joining us. I'm Tricia Tamkin. That's me on the right.
I'm Jason Tebow. That is not me on the right.
No, Jason is on the left. But those of you that have been in any kind of a session with us, you know we're not super big on introductions. I feel like when I show up to attend a webinar, I'm showing up because there's something specific I want to learn. And so I don't want to listen for 20 minutes about why the speakers are qualified to train me. So we don't do that to you. We're just going to jump right into class. Our objective is to share with you some easy sourcing techniques. We're not going to get into any advanced Boolean logic. We're going to show you a couple of things that you can do to get to candidates very, very quickly.
Yes, we are aiming for ease right now. So let's do a little housekeeping.
So from a housekeeping perspective, if you have a question, you can put it into the question section of GoToWebinar. If you have a comment, put that into chat. But questions, please put those into the question and answer session.
Love letters, just put it in the mail.
There you go. Now, we try very hard as we're going through the session to answer your questions as they come in. Some of them, David will be awesome to answer for us. You can see in the questions, he just gave you guys the updated tiny URL link. So that's great. But if you have questions, we don't want you to wait till the end. We want you to ask them throughout the session. One question that we always get asked right at the beginning, so I want to just make you aware of it.
How do I get the slides, Tricia and Jason? We would highly advise going to lunchwithhaley.com to find these slides.
But they're not there yet because we have not given them to David yet. We will give them to him after this session, and he'll go ahead and load them and load the recording.
Okay? Because it's always a surprise what slide's going to be next, for us even, so we couldn't have them printed.
Sometimes it is. All right, let's talk a little bit about the state of the economy. These numbers that I'm going to share with you are accurate as of yesterday, so these are very current numbers. Right now, in the last 30 days, 33.5 million people filed for unemployment. That is the highest number of unemployment filings since we have been keeping track of unemployment.
Did we pick this guy to represent that because the lack of a mustache with the beard makes him seem more fireable?
Maybe that's
probably
what it is.
Just something to keep in mind, gentlemen.
Now, something to keep in mind also, they just released numbers yesterday. 20.2 million jobs have been lost. And the last time that we saw that happen, the last record was 835,000. And now it's 20 million. That's massive.
Yes, 20 million is more.
A lot more.
We're going to see a bunch of changes that are going to happen right now. It becomes a very easy and wise thing. I've been this person during the last recession that, started trying to find ways to increase automation. My company went out and bought 3 other companies, trying to basically get good deals on companies while the economy was bad. So that's what's going to happen. We're going to see more mergers and acquisitions. We're going to see manufacturing type facilities of any sort, packaging, medical even, try to do increases in automation, because when the economy gets bad, it helps to not pay employees. And when you buy a robot, you only pay for it the one time.
Right. So unemployment right now is at 16%. Economists are saying we could get to 30%. Let's all cross our fingers and hope that, that doesn't happen. But I certainly don't think that we are at the peak of this yet. I think we've got at least another month or two before we see that peak, which makes it a little bit challenging for us as recruiters.
So I just think with this, picture of drowning George Washington and all that last news, We just wanted to say, have a great day and good luck with all that.
Wouldn't that be terrible? That would be such a mean thing. You come to learn how to source and we're like, yeah, everything sucks, good luck with it. But that's not actually what we're gonna do. What we wanna do is help you to modify your approach during the recession. So I wanna tell you guys a little bit of a story. I don't know about you, but when I first started in recruiting, 3 decades ago almost, I was taught to chunk my time. So what that meant was I would get a requirement and I would go out and I would do all of my sourcing for that requirement. And I love to source, so sometimes I'd fall down a rabbit hole. Anyway, so I would be doing all of my sourcing, and then once I finished sourcing, then I would move on to recruiting and I would start making my recruiting calls. And this was how I learned, it's how I did it all the time. Then I hired Jason. And I trained him for a couple of weeks and then put him on a desk, and he had 5 minutes of experience to my 15 years and kept beating me to requirements, send outs. I couldn't stand it. It was driving me crazy. How is this person, like, is he just getting lucky? He wasn't just getting lucky.
There's a few things that happen there. So one is typically what's going to happen is if you spend the day sourcing, then in some of our cases, you take that list of names that you've sourced, you send it out to an offshore VA of some sort who's going to get you contact information, or perhaps just throw all of them into your ATS. And then the next day, you're going to go through your ATS and you're going to send a bulk email. Now, Microsoft and Google, they all know better, so they can tell when something is a bulk email, so they're going to not deliver a bunch of those. And then, they're not going to be received at the other end unless the person has marked you as safe and always deliver. And so you have all these things that slow you down or take away from it. And what I would do was I would find a person, like, oh, okay, I need to find a account manager in business process outsourcing, and here's my person. And so I found somebody like that. So I would then pause, look up their email address or phone number or both, and send out an email or quick voicemail, and then I would move on to the next one. Now what that means is, let's imagine that whole process is a lot longer than it really is. Let's say that took me 6 minutes per person, even 10. Let's say we do that at 10 minutes per person. That means in an 8-hour day, I could certainly have sent off nearly 50 of those.
And I'd still be sourcing. That was the problem.
And if you send off 50, now remember, that's a slow number. That means that I'm literally only doing one person that I'm finding and emailing every 10 minutes. I can do consistently faster than that with basically any job, but at one every 6 minutes, that's 50 in a day. So when she has probably sourced 200 or 300 at the same time, but she hasn't emailed any of them yet. So none of those people, and then when she does, some of them are going to fall off. Meanwhile, I have 50 different people who've received an individual email from me that is basically nothing other than a subject line and a signature block that I have built for the campaign. And so I'm just hitting people. I'm just hitting one person after another. Some of those 50 are going to respond on the first day. Some of those that respond will be available to talk. And there's a chance that at least one of the people that I've contacted by the first day is going to be available for me to send to my hiring manager by the second day. So you tell me if you're sending candidates to the hiring manager the second day that you've had the rec, if you think that increases the chance that they're going to love you and want to move forward.
I can just answer for everybody out of my own personal experience. They love you when you're fast. So what I found was Jason taking a completely different approach to our industry changed the way I recruited. I don't anymore source and then shift to recruiting. I mix them together and do what we would really consider in manufacturing a single piece flow. Find a candidate, give them a call. Find the next candidate, give them a call. Find the next candidate, give them a call. And what happens is you will absolutely get to a send out faster, which is what we want.
I do want to say, if your niche is really narrow, then it makes sense to not do this. If you are only talking to, CEO level people that, they're administrative assistants in just San Francisco, like your market is narrow enough that if you are going after people, then you should be going after everybody, and you should be trying to know everybody in there. And it becomes like, then you don't necessarily need to do a single piece, kind of a flow or a just-in-time flow. What you're really doing at that point is trying to basically build pipelines, because this is the one thing you're going to be doing now, next month, or a year from now.
Right. We're a little biased when it comes to sourcing. I think that when you know how to source for a job really well, it has one of the biggest impacts on the productivity of your desk, meaning actual revenue. We don't think that you need to be the best sourcer out there, the best sourcer in the world. That's silly. You're not a sourcer, you're a recruiter. We want you to be the best recruiter. But sourcing is kind of a necessary evil. And I want to limit the amount of time that you have to spend sourcing, because hopefully you all know already that deals don't happen on a keyboard. They happen on the phone.
I do want to ask everybody, just a kind of a theory on this, and you don't even have to answer. I just want you to at least roll it around theoretically. What is the least amount of information you would need about somebody to feel like they were worth an interview? Like, if it's job title and location for, a job in a location, and that's worth it, then you have to understand that your sourcing skills don't need to go past a job title and location. Now, if what you need is, a job title, certain key skills, and a location, well, then you need that much. Becoming the best sourcer and having the ability to find, 100 of those people who are redheads that live in Lithuania, that becomes a little bit more difficult. But there's no need in sourcing to ever do that. The goal is, what level of skill do you need to be able to get the job done? Not what level of skill do you need to be the best in the world.
Right. All right, so something that you're going to see, we want to give you just a couple quick tips about job postings, because some people, I think, in our industry are like, no, I never post jobs. Well, that's silly. Sometimes you have a job, and the very best thing to do is post it, and especially in this market, job postings are going to become a lot more fruitful than when we had record low unemployment.
Now, they're also going to become a lot less fruitful. And here, let me make sense of this for you. Well, right now, just like ever before, high-level jobs, don't post those, right? Your average CEO is not searching Indeed right now looking for their next CEO job, right? Like, that's not how that works, right? So you're posting at lower levels than VP and C-suite. And what is going to happen is, do you remember that 20, 30, plus million people who are out of work? Well, some of those are going to start, responding to job postings, and they will respond to a job posting if there's a word in it they like. Oh, this says Houston. I'm in Houston. Great, I'm applying. Oh, this says virtual. I would love to work virtually. I will apply. People will start applying for jobs that they have no, point in being anywhere near. And so you're going to have to do, if you do job postings, keep in mind, you're going to have to filter more than usual.
Yes, but I think that because there's so much instability in the economy right now, if you do it right, you have an opportunity to attract people that are exploring opportunities but have not been laid off or furloughed. They are actively, gainfully employed but feeling insecure in their job. So in order to attract those people, there's a couple things that we need to do. The first, hopefully you guys understand the difference between an advertisement and a job description, right? A job description is the legal document that says, you must be able to lift 50 pounds, and that doesn't belong anywhere in our advertisement.
Right, like think about how truly important that is. To be able to lift a quarter pounder, you need to be able to do curls of in excess of 4 ounces. But on no McDonald's commercial ever do they ever put that on there. So many, I would say more than half of all of the job ads that we find online are basically somebody has copied and pasted their requirements or the job description, and it's not an advertisement. So I want you to carefully think about any product. I often go to food because I'm just generally hungry, but like literally any product. If you could describe exactly your car, your bicycle, your newspaper, your hamburger. It doesn't matter. Now, is your way of completely describing that thing as a description equal to the advertising that's done for it? And it's almost never the case, right? Because advertising does better with mystery than description. But I can get more people to show up for a movie if I don't, show them too much of the previews.
No kidding, right? So what we need to do is make sure that everything in the job posting is focused on what is in it for the candidate. What is good about this job? Sell the opportunity in the ad. Now, I'm going to make the assumption that you guys probably already know that when you're writing a posting that you should not just take the description, that you need to sell it a little bit more. But we want to give you two very concrete tips for all of your job postings that are going to make a really big difference in the quantity here, quality on the next tip, of the people that respond to your jobs.
So one of those first ones is talk about benefits. And I don't mean by this great benefits, full benefits, comprehensive benefits, competitive benefits. All those variations just mean the company thinks there's benefits.
What you want to do is oddly list everything out. Benefits include family, medical, dental, vision. Our client matches X amount to their 401k. You'll notice here, lunch is brought into the office on Fridays. Like, lunch brought into the office on Fridays isn't really a benefit. I would call that more a perk. But you want to make sure that you have things like that in the job description. This will increase the number of people that respond by a massive number.
And I want to change it because you said in the job description, and it's so important that it's a job ad because, again, as an advertisement, advertisements talk about benefits. They talk about what's in it for you. What do you get out of this interaction? And the job description is about what can you bring to this interaction? What do you have that I need? An ad is what do I have that you need?
Right, so let's focus it as much as we can on the candidate. I will tell you, every single job posting that you have needs to have some version of what you see on the bottom of the screen here. If you don't have a resume available right now, that's okay. We don't need it to have a conversation. Send me an email to my personal account I can be reached at, and please make sure that when you do it, you write out your the @ symbol as @ in parentheses. That'll massively decrease the amount of spam that you get from spiders, robots that are indexing the internet looking for email addresses. And if they find your job and they find your email address, you end up on every list in the world. So don't use the @ symbol, but let everybody know. Like, think about it like this. If I am considering, maybe I just had an argument with my boss, right? And I'm thinking, maybe it's about time I look for another job. Most people, what they do is they look on their phone. Almost all job ads are viewed mobilely, like upwards of 75%. And I don't know about you guys, but if you're not active in the market, I can't imagine you have a copy of your resume stored on your phone. So we need to make it so that when we catch somebody that might possibly be exploring an opportunity that isn't really active in the market, we give them a way to be able to reach out to us and start a conversation even without a resume. All right, so those are the tips that we want you to do to really leverage how good job postings are going to be moving into this new economy.
Now, we have to talk about Facebook here because basically 3/4 of all social job seekers got their last job through Facebook. Now, I want to say, here's the difference between a social job seeker and we'll just call them anti-social job seekers. A social job seeker is somebody that goes out to social media and either looks or asks people about jobs. Like, hey, does anyone know of any nurse jobs in Tulsa? And if they post that on Facebook and one of their friends says yes, they got a job through Facebook. If they post that at LinkedIn and a recruiter contacts them and says, oh, thank God, then they got it from LinkedIn. Well, it turns out that 3 out of 4 people that's Facebook. The other 1 out of 4, it's not LinkedIn. It's LinkedIn, it's Twitter, it's Instagram, it's probably Snapchat at this point. There's probably a way to TikTok a job.
So 75% all come from Facebook. The other 25% are all of the other social platforms combined. So if you're not recruiting on Facebook right now, you are losing a huge piece of the puzzle.
But wait, didn't Facebook turn off their ability to do sourcing over there?
They did. We used to be able to do this very cool URL manipulation, and we're going to teach you a URL manipulation today. But we used to be able to do it on Facebook, and then when Zuckerberg was in front of Congress last year, during those congressional hearings, Zuckerberg turned graph search off. He turned all that functionality off, and all of a sudden, Facebook wasn't great for recruiting anymore, at least not direct sourcing.
So we gotta let the murder hornets calm things down a little bit and distract more before he can turn all that back on.
How about it? One of the ways, and we're going to show you a simple way to search on Facebook that does now work, which is lovely, but I want to encourage all of you to leverage Facebook groups. Facebook groups are one of the most incredible ways to insert yourself into a conversation, have candidates and clients reach out to you directly, and even places that you can post jobs for free, which I love. I love being able to do that.
All right, think about this. Like, let's imagine that you place accountants. Like, I would certainly join accounting groups. I would join accounting joke and meme groups. I would join CPA study groups because sometimes maybe I need somebody that's entry level. Right? And sometimes the people who join those study groups pass their CPA and then don't go back in the Facebook and leave the group.
Right.
Right. And so, like, there's so many places that I could go out where what I expect to find in the Facebook group is only my target, audience, only my possible candidates. There's so many groups out there that you can absolutely join those and interact with people constantly.
Right. Now, when you join a group, it depends on what kind of group it is. If you join a group that is jobs related, join the group and post a job. I mean, like, you don't have to wait if that's the core nature of the group. If you're going to join a CPA study group, like what Jason said, because you recruit CPAs, do not join that group and post your job, okay? You have to look at it kind of like a bank account. You have to keep making deposits until you have enough money that you can make a withdrawal.
And in this, it's enough credit or street cred, right? Because basically what you're trying to do is not barging into a party of accountants in this case, and say, "Woohoo! I'm a recruiter. Everybody, come on over here," because you will upset that party. We want you to mingle. We want you to spend, the first period of time that you're in there getting to know people and letting people hear your hilarious jokes and whatnot before you then say, "Hey, wow, you know what? Like, it has been so great interacting with all of you. Do any of you happen to be, an accountant that is, within about 5 years of experience anywhere near Atlanta?" Like, "Oh, no, I'm not, but my buddy is." You'll start getting, like, you've got to take some time to build that up because otherwise nobody has any reason to want to do anything for you.
So when you're in these groups and you're spending 15 minutes commenting and liking, understand that unless it's a public group, none of your friends on Facebook are going to see the activity. If you join an accountant study group, your neighbors or your high school friends don't actually see your interactions there. What you want to do is give tremendous amounts of value. You want to answer questions. Like, if someone asks a question and you can jump right out to Google and find the answer and give them the answer, now you are perceived as someone that knows a lot about accounting, right? Which is a good thing. Make sure on your own Facebook profile, if you're going to adopt this type of a technique, that it clearly says that you're a headhunter on your personal Facebook profile, and also directs them to your website for where they can apply to jobs. That needs to be on your personal page, because as soon as you start liking and commenting on posts, people are going to go to your page and look at who you are. So you need to have something that then draws them from your Facebook page and takes them to your website.
Now, I do want to say this is so important because Facebook has been hitting a lot of record numbers lately. It turns out that when people work from home, especially people who have never before worked from home, they're on Facebook more. It also turns out that when you take 20 million people and you're 30 million people now and you say you don't have a job, they spend more time on Facebook. So, what we're looking at here is the ability to suddenly be able to reach many more people than we've ever been able to reach before.
Which is so fantastic. All right, so you have to be able to find a group. What you're going to do is just go into the search bar in Facebook and search on your topic, okay? If you place nurses, put in nursing and then click over to groups and look at what those groups are. When the groups come up, they'll tell you how many members and how many posts a day. If you see a group and what it is, one post a day or no posts a day and 100 members, don't join it, right? You want to join the bigger groups in order to get more traction.
Well, and I just want to make a comment, as we look at these, I see some of these on here and I see roughly the same number of posts per day, more than 10, from mommy dentists in business as I do from nifty thrifty dentists. Now, mommy dentists in business gives me a target. It gives me a sense of what the audience is. Nifty thrifty dentist also gives me a sense of the audience, and that's dentists who would like to save money. My services would not exactly be considered a cost savings, right? There are cheaper ways than hiring a recruiter to find new people to work for your dental practice. So that becomes one that maybe I would look into, but I wouldn't, rest all of my weight on nifty thrifty dentists, because those may very well be the dentists that never pay fees.
Well, sure. I mean, they're calling right out the fact that they're cheap. So, pay attention to what the group is based on. There are several different types of groups that you can join. Job groups, absolutely post right away in a job group. An industry group, maybe what you do is all supply chain or manufacturing, logistics. You can search for groups that are just specific in your industry. You can also search for skill-based groups. Like, I can find groups of all Java developers, right? Anybody that knows Java, there's people that go into these Java groups, and so I can do it by skill.
Now, it's so funny because all of those groups seem to make perfect recruiting sense. Like, oh yes, there's a job group like accounting jobs, dental jobs, whatever. There's industry groups. We just saw a bunch of those skill-specific groups that could be anything from studying the CPA and JavaScript and things that Tricia just said there. But a neighborhood group could very well be like, Hidden Lakes of Barrington has, noticed that some of you are leaving your trash cans out more. And, but there's a garage sale at,
such and such, right?
Creek Drive Road Street. And, whatever, like we just go ahead and we throw all of that up there. And what happens is the people who are most interactive in those neighborhood groups or the mom groups or the garage sale groups, they're busybodies. And if you're interactive in those things right now, you're a busybody, and I'm saying it out loud, and you can be mad at me all you need to.
I will just confess to you guys, I love garage sale groups. I think they're so much fun, and I have been in local garage sale groups for a long time. Not for recruiting, because I like looking at other people's garbage. It's just fun, right? So what happened was, a couple of years ago, we had a requirement that we were really struggling to fill. It was for a salesperson, but they didn't need to really have any experience. It was a total personality hire, and we were really struggling to find the candidate. And Jason said to me, why don't you post it in one of your garage sale groups? Because it was a local job. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. Why would I post it? He's like, in a mom group or a garage sale group. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I should do that. I was very reluctant to do it. But, desperation prevailed because we didn't have a candidate for it. And so what happened was I went into a mom group that I was in, and this is the job. This is what I posted, okay, in that group. And it was I'm so glad you pushed me to do that. Oh my God, because I could not believe what happened. All of these people started tagging their kid, their husband, their uncle, their aunt, their mother, and all of a sudden, within like 2 days, I had 15 candidates for this job. We actually filled it from this. It was fantastic.
Right. You'll notice there's a few things that are crazy on there, like that we list the expected first year's comp, second year, and third year. We tell them that they don't need a college degree and that we're looking for a type of person. And then we don't say, is this you? Is this anyone you know? I'm expecting that the Naperville imams, it could be them. It could be a son or daughter. It could be a husband. You know, it could just be somebody they know. But I know that those busybodies will get things done. And so they will tag somebody. They'll simply give me a name without tagging the name. They will do so many different things that calls attention to somebody, especially because what they think they're doing is helping somebody in need. And they are. They just don't know it's you.
Right. This is a wonderful, wonderful approach. So please, I would highly encourage you to be a little unconventional in your use of Facebook and how to leverage groups in order to get to the candidates you want. But I imagine that what you want to do is be able to identify the candidates that you want right away. And I will tell you, all of the neat, cool tricks we used to be able to do with Facebook, we can't do anymore, but there is still a search and a way to work direct sourcing on Facebook, as long as you pay attention to the fact that it can only be a one-word search. Like, let's think about that for a minute. A one-word search you might think is a little bit challenging. I'm gonna just pull Facebook over here for you and show you guys what I'm talking about. So I'm just clicking the little Facebook icon here. This is my search bar right up here at the top. So I'm going to say nurse. I'm looking for nurses. Now here, it's going to give me pages and groups and things that my friends have posted about nursing. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come right over here to where it says people, okay? Now it's changed all of this to people, which is great. So now I can come right over here to city and I can type whatever city it is that I'm looking for. So I say Tulsa, Oklahoma. Check it out. Here are all of my nurses that are in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Okay, so is there a chance that we can step through this a second time? Because I think that might have been a little fast for everybody.
Yeah, of course.
And, you know, I'm sure a few of you got it, and a few of you are now trying to do it on your own. Why don't we do an entirely different job? Let's do my accountant in Atlanta.
Okay, so we'll say accountant. And once we search for accountant, you can see like we get the new, kind of the running stream here of results. What I want is people right here. So what I can do is I can either click see all, or I can come right over here to people. I'm going to click people right here. And now what I'm going to do is Atlanta. And here's Atlanta, Georgia. And now here are my accountants in Atlanta.
All right, there's a question that has come through that I would like to address. So thank you for finding my accountants in Atlanta. The question is, what's the best way to reach out initially on Facebook once you identify the person you want to contact? And that answer is as generically and plainly as possible. Meaning that what I would normally do, if I found somebody on LinkedIn, I might look them up on Facebook so I know a little bit more about them and I can have a warmer entry. But if I'm on Facebook and I'm going to message them through Facebook and I mention things that are on their Facebook, it starts getting creepy.
Right, like you can't really do that. When you open someone's profile, you can see right here, this is your message button, and you click message, and now you can send them a message. It will go to their message requests if you are not actually a friend of theirs. Don't send random friend requests to people that you don't know. Like, don't do that in an effort to
Don't start trying to treat Facebook like LinkedIn.
It's not like LinkedIn, right?
But if you are in a group with the person, that will also help them get the message too, so that they get a notification that somebody from your, Atlanta accounting group
was reaching out to you. Now, I can come over here and I can see she is the owner and founder at this place. I can come right down here and go to the website and see if I can get contact information that way. Reaching out on Facebook should be your last resort.
It should be, because ideally what I would do is if I can find Tax Plus 365 and find her email there. Now, there would have been a time that I would have said, in a non-recession, absolutely you would not contact the owner and founder of their own tax firm. During a recession, we don't know if she's struggling to make ends meet. What if what she requires for her to be able to have a successful career is, say, people doing their taxes by April 15th?
Oops.
And now they haven't, and it's May. And so the income that was going to come in March and April for her from people doing their taxes now maybe will come in August. Well, if she can't last till August, then that means that, she's looking for a job right now. So it's just when I say, like, when I look at something like this, and I know that, looking at a founder of a company might seem weird, and normally I would say don't reach out to that person. But again, if you can imagine a situation in which that person is one of the 30 million unemployed, then there's no risk in reaching out to them.
Right. So Emily asked a great question. Does your Facebook account need to be a professional account, or can I use my personal account? I would say use your personal account.
I would also say that because Facebook says you can't have more than one.
Yeah, you're not supposed to have more than one Facebook account, and if they catch you, they will delete them both. So don't let them delete your Facebook accounts. Use your personal account. And I will tell you, this was something very challenging for me. I started connecting with people, business people, either recruiters or candidates or clients, about 3 years ago. And it has been fantastic. And I'll tell you, I was nervous. I was uncomfortable. I didn't want all of these people up in my business, in my personal life. But what I found was people found me more human, and they felt like they knew me better, and that increased their likelihood of wanting to do business with us. So use your Facebook account, use your personal.
Now, I do want to throw in a caveat about that. I completely agree. Use your personal one. I think that when people find you and they learn things about you, right? They find me and they're going to see, nerd groups, and they're going to see, stuff like that. And that's great. That just makes them think, okay, this guy's kind of a nerdy, recruiter, whatever. And so they have an impression. I think that impression helps them bond. If what my thing was that I really loved, troll dolls, they would think, wow, that's weird. This guy really loves troll dolls. But, now I know who he is, and there's a personality I can associate with him. So don't let the personality drive you off, because that's what people connect with, unless you are a terribly offensive person. And I say this because we had somebody that we coached that had some extreme political beliefs, and those extreme political beliefs were of such that it made it often seem like he was being insulting to people online. And so we told him, like, hey, anyone that you call is absolutely going to look at your, is going to Google your name. And if what they find is you, spewing hate speech, you are not going to have candidates. That's not how that works. And so make sure that you're not being hateful, because even people who completely agree with you might decide, oh yeah, but you're a jerk about it.
Can I just say, regardless of whether or not you're using your Facebook profile for sourcing, don't be hateful. Okay, like either way, just don't be hateful. Jane, I need you to rephrase your question because I don't actually understand it. So if you don't mind rephrasing that, I would really appreciate it. All right, so now you've got a sense. I just want to point out to you, you can, in your one-word searches, you can search for a title, a portion of a title, a skill, or even a company, okay? It's okay if it's a company. All right, let's come back to some questions here. What if you're recruiting from an area that you don't live in? Do you feel like those groups will not let you in if you're not local? No, they'll let you in.
Most of them will just let you in. Remember, it's just some person that is managing a garage sale group, right? They are not doing deep background checks to discover where you actually live. And we also live in a day and age where I've got friends with remote cell phone numbers that live nearby because you can take your cell phone number with you now. So it's not even a matter of, oh, your phone number is wrong. And so I think all in all, you're good with that. If it truly makes you uncomfortable, just use the national groups.
Right. Tate, what a great question. The only posts that Tate has on the page are from his mom. I love that. His mom tags him. Will the lack of posts drive people away? No, that'll just look like you don't use your Facebook that much, or your mom is, really cute. I mean, she tags you in a lot of stuff. I like that, right? Have a work page, a company page that you can use, but most of your sourcing is all going to come through your personal Facebook page.
Tate, I gotta ask, do you ever tag her back in things?
I think it's cute, right?
No, that's okay. Next, I have to ask what field you work in, and more importantly, is the field primarily male or female? And I can usually figure it out. If you say engineering, most engineers are male, right?
Nurses, most nurses are women, right? So it depends. While you do that, I'm going to answer Jane's question. So Jane said, if you post an advertisement on Facebook and the applications come to your company Facebook inbox, when you're responding to these applications through your company page, do they end up in the applicant's message request area? All right. If they initiated the conversation, it'll just go to their primary inbox when you respond. If they did not initiate the conversation and you reached out to them and sent a message, then it goes into their request box, okay? All right, so let's keep going. We already went live and showed you how to do it. Hopefully all of you saw how easy that was, as long as you're super careful to only use one word.
All right, now I do want to finish answering Tate's question because he was putting that in and we skipped. So I want to say, if you are in that situation, manufacturing, nursing, anything else, and what you start doing is responding to your mom or tagging her in things too, and somebody looks you up, the worst thing that they're going to think is, wow, this guy has a good relationship with his mom. And that is not a bad thing. People aren't thinking, must be another one of those jerk recruiters who loves his mom.
Nobody thinks that, right? It's a lot of fun. All right, let me ask you guys a question, and maybe you can tell me in chat. I'd appreciate it in chat if you can find it. Have you ever learned how to do an image search before, where what you do is you run a search and then you could narrow it down, like you could select that you wanted to only see faces?
Tools type face.
Tools type face. That's the way we always did it. Give me a yes or a no in chat and let me know if you know how to do that, if you've ever learned that before.
Getting a lot of no's coming in, but I can see some of you nodding yes through your cameras.
He's lying. He can't see you. Okay, so all of you are saying no. Then you're going to love this. It doesn't work anymore, which seems like a weird thing to follow. You're going to love this with.
But after it didn't work, we found a solution to make it work again.
We did.
So people post pictures online for a lot of reasons. And one of my favorite ones is simply the meet the team page.
Right, a meet the team page is awesome. What they do is they say, here you go. Here's all of our best employees with pictures and profiles. I love that. I think they do that for recruiters. I mean, they don't really. They're trying to show you their awesome culture, but we love it. So all of these companies are putting pictures out there, and we want to leverage those pictures to get to the candidates that we want, okay? So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to walk you through the instructions first, and then we'll go out live and do it. The first thing that you have to do is come up with who it is you're looking for. And you want it to be really basic. Like what you can see here is accountant, CPA, Nashville. We might try nurse, Tulsa. We might try project manager, construction, Houston, right? We want some really basic search terms when we do that. Now, when you first run the search, just straight up in Google, you're going to see a whole bunch of jobs. But then what we're going to do is we're going to click over to images. Now, it used to be tools, type, face. Like we could go to the tools button, then we could go to type, and then type would drop down and face would be there.
But that went away about a year ago.
It did. It went away, which was really tragic because this was one of my all-time favorite sourcing methodologies. So what we figured out, I say we liberally because it was all Jason, but what Jason figured out was how to manipulate the URL or the web address in order to change it and force Google to give us the results we want. And that sounds really complicated, but I promise you it won't be once you see it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to run our search, right? CPA, Tulsa, whatever your search is that you're running.
And we're going to keep it really basic information like title and geography because, you know, if I'm looking at the caption of a picture from an awards dinner, it probably doesn't say, Jerry is our top programmer and he knows JavaScript and he graduated from, it's probably just going to say, here's Jerry, our JavaScript, you know, programmer of the year. And that's going to be the whole picture caption. So I want to keep that information basic.
We do. So what's going to happen is once we run the search and we click over to images, we're going to click up in the URL anywhere. You can click anywhere in the URL and it'll highlight the whole URL for you. And then you're going to hit the end button on your keyboard and without any spaces, you're going to type ampersand IMG type equals space and hit enter.
So just what's in red there. So think about what that, now it's in black. Things colors change fast around here, people. You got to keep up. So
since you don't have a workbook in front of you, I would like you to just very quickly write this down because this is the key to the whole thing. So grab a piece of paper and write it down. I think I'm also going to type it for you guys and put it out in chat so that it stays there and you can just copy it, oops, if you need to. Okay, I got it right? Yes.
Yes.
All right.
This is kind of easy if you think about it, because if I were to say, hey, you're going to do an image search for your people that you would like to find online, your accountants in Atlanta. But when you do that image search, you would like it to be a face picture. So yeah, you're looking for them and you want the image type to be equal to face. And that's all this is. And image type equals face.
Right.
I mean, you know, it's ampersand IMG image type equals face. Like it's really that easy.
It's easy to remember, right? I had it for about 6 months on a Post-it note on my monitor because I kept forgetting it. But I threw it away about just a couple months ago. So here's the other thing to pay attention to. You can eliminate results. This is not the best way to search LinkedIn. So sometimes if we see a lot of LinkedIn results, we'll get rid of it. Same with Redaris. But you don't need to clean those up unless you see bad results.
Yeah, I think really the only thing Redaris is good for is making money for Redaris.
Right. Okay, so what we're going to do, let's pick a job. Why don't we do you have anything you want to search specifically? I'm going to do a nurse. Where?
Let's do our nurse in Miami.
All right, a nurse in Miami. So now when I run my search, I've got all these jobs, and I've got all these jobs, and I've got all these jobs and salaries. Like, this is not what I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click right here to images. And now I have a lot of, I do have some good images here, but
some of them look clearly like stock photos. Some of them are the outside of buildings. Some of them are large groups of people which have their purpose, but I don't think we're going to get into today.
So what I've done is I just clicked inside of the URL. This is the URL right up here.
Right, so that's at the top in the Omni bar if you're in Chrome, or the URL bar, as some places call it. But in that bar at the top, you're going to go up there, click in. I like to just hit end, but you can certainly mouse your way over to the very end or arrow your way over to the very end.
I don't like to do that because if you have a space anywhere, when you add that, it's not going to work.
All right.
So look at that. What we've done now is turn this into individual profiles of people.
All we did, all Trisha did while I was saying that we're going to see that is add ampersand image type equals space to the very end of the URL and ran it again. The, large groups of people, the stock photos, clearly the pictures of buildings are all gone.
Right, so let's just do that again. I'm gonna start back, oh, I didn't wanna click on a Google Doodle. I don't know what happened there. All right, let me go back to Google. And let's try a different type of person. Let's say I'm looking for, let's do an accountant. We'll say an accountant, and I want that accountant to be in Chicago, because that's where I am. All right. So here again, we see it's all jobs, right? A lot of jobs that show up here. So I'm going to come over to images, and we can see, like, I don't want I might want the Chicago list of accounting firms, I don't know. But typically, I don't want these stock photos. So I'm going to come right up top to the URL and click. I'm going to hit end on my keyboard to get to the end. IMG, nope, I've missed my ampersand.
And the image type.
Ampersand, IMGTYPE equals space, and I hit search, and here's all of my accountants in Chicago. All right, do me a favor. Either come into chat or the question and answer area and tell me, what do you think of that? How cool is that, right? Like, I can pick any one of these people and open them in a new tab, come over here. I don't even need to open this. Catherine Hunt, CPA, Director of Audit Accounting.
At Warrady Davis LLP?
Yeah, so I don't even have to go any further if I don't want to. It's right there for me, okay?
I do want to answer a question from Caitlin that came through. She's a corporate recruiter for a staffing firm, and her focus is sales reps and technical recruiters. What are your thoughts on sourcing and reaching out to candidates via email, in-mail, or text versus straight cold calling? I would actually consider that 4 separate ways of making contact.
Right.
If I were to find a candidate on a site that they posted their resume, do you find them more success messaging them first or cold calling first? If they're posting recent resumes, straight cold calling for me. If I'm finding people that are people I haven't seen before, I'm not going to in-mail them because I think there's a whole lot of recruiters that either friend on Facebook and then send a message or in-mail immediately, and I don't want to be lumped in with them. And so what I do is I try to find an email or social media point of contact first. And the only real reason there, I'm not expecting them to answer. I'm expecting my passive candidate who gets an email from me to slightly better remember the name Jason Tebow the next time it comes up on their caller ID. So they might answer.
Me, I just pick up the phone. I mean, a recruiter, if I'm calling a recruiter, man, they better be answering their phone, or maybe they're not the best candidate for my staffing firm. I want recruiters that get on the phone. So I personally would call straight off the bat.
Well, and that was it. Certainly the case with any job that they have posted. If they posted, a resume, they are saying, please contact me. It's like putting your face on Tinder. You are absolutely saying, I would like people to, interact with.
All right, so we're looking for a roadway engineer in South Carolina. I'm going to just try this one. Who was this? Neil. All right, Neil, all jobs. We don't want jobs. We come over here to images. We certainly don't see any good images here. I'm going to click the top. I'm going to hit end, and we're going to go ampersand IMG type equals space enter. And here would be people. Now, I'm going to throw something out here for you, Neil. As you look at this, you might recognize, like, I don't know what Ramey Kemp is. It could be a search firm, right? Like, there could be recruiters in here. So I might want to do a minus recruiter. And I was wrong. Maybe he isn't a recruiter. All right, so in these, one of the things that you're going to find is when we run this search, what we're telling Google with this is it has to say roadway, it has to say engineer, it has to say South, it has to say Carolina, it cannot say recruiter on the page. So what that means is you might open these and find, like we have a lot of LinkedIn ones here, and what we might find is that, oh no, she probably is the right kind of person. My guess is that she has a railroad, something railroad in her background, or it wouldn't have come up. Right?
Roadway.
Roadway. You get what I mean? All right. So I would encourage you to start looking through all of these candidates.
Well, you know what? Can you go to that fifth one in the who'sonthemove.com?
Yeah.
All right. Now, the reason I'm putting out this one is because it says transportation team, extends further. So now she could very well be the roadway engineer, or I could simply be finding a company that, is out there that hires the right kind of person.
So senior transportation planner, what you can do when you're on the page is do a Control F to bring up your search function. And what was my search?
Were you looking for roadway?
Roadway.
She brings focused skills and abilities in roadway design, plan preparation, concept plan. You get the idea here.
Right, so right here is where it says engineer. So I might call this a false positive.
Oh no, I would call this a positive. Here's the false thing. Do you see the blonde girl?
Yeah.
That's not her. That's Brandy Does.
Oh yeah, here's our girl.
Our girl, LaTanya, is absolutely got...
Neil's calling her right now. I love that, Neil. So Neil, what you want to do is go through all of these results. I'd actually even tell you to do a -site:/LinkedIn.com, and let's get rid of the LinkedIn people. You know how to search LinkedIn. Like, let's just not have that muddy our results at all. So I'm just going to put this out here for everybody, mostly for Neil, but we'll put that there.
Now, something to keep in mind as you go through, if you see a bunch in a row, they're all from one website, they may very well be a bunch of people all from one website. So it could be that this is a company that has 18 civil engineers that do roadway work.
Right.
And so just keep in mind that if you see one picture, it could very well lead you to a lot of people.
So these two techniques are very easy techniques that we teach in our advanced Boolean course. It runs for 20 hours over 4 weeks, where we teach you how to see everyone on LinkedIn, how to basically from Google with no upgrade. You don't need any upgrade. We show you how to source at companies like ZoomInfo, GitHub, Reddit, YouTube, Facebook, like all sorts of social sites. And we only teach it twice a year live, and this one starts on the 18th. It's $2,500 per person, and there is an on-demand option if you want to try and put a team in. So let me answer a couple of other questions before I turn this back to David. What was the control key to bring up the search bar? Control F, Lynn. F for find.
Like find on page.
Right. So Control F, if you're on a Mac, it's Command F. I've got, Marianne is asking, do you look them up after on Facebook or LinkedIn?
I would only look somebody up on something like Facebook or LinkedIn if I am definitely, I'm going to look if I'm trying to use them as a business development point. And if they're a candidate, I'm only going to bother with that extra thing as a potential time waster if I'm having trouble getting traction. So if I needed to look over 50 candidates and send, one email at a time or do 50 phone calls, that becomes a multi-day process if my 50 phone calls are going to be look somebody up, look at their LinkedIn, look at their Facebook, make sure I feel like I know them really well, look up their phone number, call, leave a message.
Yeah, don't do that. You know what?
Call and leave the message, or just send the email. Like, until you know that there's a reason that you have to dig in farther, you're just wasting your time.
I would agree with that. I would. I think we call it productive procrastinating, right? When I have a huge project to do, my office is the cleanest it ever is, because I feel like I'll just do better work in a clean office. I'm just procrastinating. And I think recruiters procrastinate research, use research as procrastination all the time. What you want to do is not pick up the phone. Don't procrastinate. Leave a message. Your whole objective when you make the call is just to schedule another time to talk, which means you'll have time to do the research. Star.
Contact Trisha.
Yeah, reach out to me. In fact, here you go. You can reach out directly to me. That's my phone number. Both of our email addresses are on there. The phone number goes directly to me. Natalie, once you have the name of the person, how do you find their number? That we have so many different techniques to be able to find an email address and a phone number. We can typically find a corporate email address 85 to 90% of the time, and not a cell phone or a direct dial phone numbers. You can only get those if they've posted them online or given them to you. So those are a little bit more tricky.
So there's always the old, call corporate and ask for them by name, which works way better than saying, I need somebody in accounting. Can you give me to somebody there? I'm not willing to do my own research. Can you just do it for me? So it does work better than that, but I certainly get that can be a challenge. Email addresses are typically easy to find. Then we do go into techniques and essentials, but it's probably a little late for me to try to teach many of them now.
It is. Okay, so how do you recommend filtering through the resumes of people not really looking for a job? Such an interesting question, Holly, because I usually don't have a resume of somebody that's not looking for a job. How do you streamline the process to cut down on individuals not really looking versus people that are looking for a job? Depends on what you're trying to accomplish, Holly, and I don't want to take us down like a hugely philosophical path. So here's what I'll tell you. It used to be that the best candidates were your passive candidates that weren't looking for a job, but now with record unemployment and it going just through the roof with no end in sight right now, we're going to see a lot more people that are interested in looking. What I would say to you is you still need to get on the phone with them, and I'd tell you to start your process on the phone with them with a script that sounds something like, Holly, I am so glad that we're having this conversation. I'd like to address first the single most important thing we are ever going to discuss, your dream job. Like, what do you want? What's important to you? And let them tell you all of that so that you can see if it aligns with what you're recruiting for. If it doesn't align, thank them, ask them if it's okay for you to follow up with them should you find something like that, and get off the phone. And if it does align, then take them through a full interview and recruit them.
Well, and Holly, let me just give you a little secret from our posting perfection class about job postings. If you rearrange and you do your job postings a little differently than everyone else, and it's not all job description, it's basically bullets about what they want to come and do for you, and it looks nicer. And once you do all that, you can absolutely hide a message in there that says something like, if you're a highly interested job seeker, put highly interested in the subject line. And the people who are just kind of looking, who are half-assing their way through some applications, they're not going to do that. But the people who are really looking, they're going to follow your rules.
Right. Jane, the reason that didn't work is because you didn't add the .com at the end of LinkedIn. So you need to say -site:/LinkedIn.com, or that just turned into a search term and all of your results will be LinkedIn.
All right, Christy, lovely last name for a recruiter, first of all.
Christy C, I love that. Okay.
I work for a heavy light industrial staffing branch, 95% entry level. And what's the best recruiting source for this type of candidate? So entry level factory, I would absolutely 100% go to Facebook.
And post jobs on Facebook. If it's entry level, I would go into the mom groups, the neighborhood groups, the job groups locally and post.
Absolutely, go out and post jobs. Right now, I would even go to anything from high schools who know their seniors that aren't college bound to feel completely free to go after other factories that have low-level people. I usually do that with a Google Maps search, which again, might be a little bit much for right now, but you can't just target entire, factories. Right.
Let me stop here, and I'm going to answer one last question for Belinda, which is lunchwithhaley.com is where this recording and the slide deck, oh, look at you, David was all over it, answering it in writing before I was able to. So we're going to wrap up because we have already gone 7 minutes over. Thank you guys for staying with us. I am going to turn this back over to David because he wants to talk to you about the next Lunch with Haley. And if anyone would like to reach out, if you're interested in really getting good at sourcing and having that competitive advantage, now is the time. May 18th, that class starts. So
Awesome.
thank you. David, you want to take it?
Wow, I'm exhausted, guys. That was amazing, as expected. Fantastic tips, and thank you everyone at the at-home group, because loved your engagement too. Great questions, great advice. I'm so thrilled you guys came back and did this. And Jason, I understand you weren't feeling well, but man, it didn't show. So just terrific stuff. For everybody, if, as Trish mentioned, we've got a couple of upcoming events, so I hope that you'll be able to join us. We're going to do sort of the flip side of direct sourcing. We're going to talk a lot about digital marketing, both for sales lead generation and recruiting. Next week, actually on Thursday the 14th at 2 o'clock. And then the following week, we'll be doing a product demo. We'll be taking a look at some specific tools that we provide that help to implement some of those digital marketing ideas. So thank you again, Trish and Jason, for the fantastic presentation. Thank you, everybody, for being part of today's Lunch with Haley webinar. And we hope to see you again as soon as next week.